everyone and welcome to my studio. If you're struggling to get started in art or are experiencing a creative block, I have a solution for you, and it's just one word: doodle. I found the simplicity of creating all kinds of doodles really unlocked my creativity, and today I'm going to share some of that jailbreaking process with you. Plus, I'm going to show you how to make your own simple stitched daily doodle book, which takes seconds and costs pennies. So let's get started. Now, this is a tribute to the idea of doodling as the best way of getting started in watercolor. So if you're a beginner, don't start out trying to do a lovely complicated landscape of what you see from your bedroom window or something like that, or a holiday sketch. Try with starting with doodles, because honestly, it won't put you off. It'll just get you all excited and you'll feel like you are going to be really happy with this new hobby, rather than really depressed that you can't make it work. It's impossible to go from zero to hero in an hour, no matter what some people might say. It's just not ever going to happen. But you can go from zero to a doodle in 5 minutes. And I'm going to show you the journey that I've gone on with my doodles in this little booklet here. And here we have 6 circles of paint. I used blue, 2 different shades of blue. I painted 6 circles, and then I took one of my black FINELINERS, something like this, just a plain old ordinary one. You can get these ones on Amazon really inexpensively. It's a Chinese imitation of, well, let's say, something like the Edding or whatever. They just change the shape of the cap and it's basically the same thing. So whichever, lights your fire, either one that's got a brand name on it, or these, I think you can get in sets of 10 or something like that for just a few dollars. Anyway, that would work perfectly. This is probably longer lasting. I think I've had this one for many years, whereas these tend to wear out quicker. But anyway, doesn't matter. So I did that, let it dry, used the hairdryer and everything. And then I did some very simple lines, just whatever came into my head. And this got me started. And I thought, right, I'm going to fill this book up. And I'm going to do it in a systematic way. So from here, I went to here, changed my color, went to pink, and then I thought I can change the shape. So I changed from circles to leaf shapes. Okay, and then having done that, I moved on. I went back to the circles, but put 2 different colors on the page. You see how I'm changing what I'm doing from one color to a different color, a different shape. So here we have 2 colors on one page, and the doodles are getting a little bit bolder, a little bit more powerful. And then I changed the shape of the backgrounds like this to rectangles and went to white. So I'm now doing my doodles in white, which is also a possibility. And we have white pens like these, which are pretty good. They do tend to run out a bit, but they are not bad. This is the Sigmo Uniball Sigmo pen here, this one. And this one is I can never remember its name, the Pentel. Yes, this is Uniball and this is Pentel. They're both okay. You can get them also on Amazon. I'll put links to all of these in the description below in case you want to buy them using our Amazon link, just to give us a little bit of, commission. And everything that I recommend is available on there, either that or on Meeden's website. Okay, so then I went from there to here, went back to sort of circles, rounded off squares really, and did it in blue. And then I've painted a second layer on here. All of these techniques can go into your bigger pieces of art when you get further on in your journey, but this is an ideal way to start. So I put little dots or little leaf shapes or whatever in the same color exactly as I'd used for the background. And then I just put a few gold dots on there too. And for that, I used this, which is the Sigmo Metallic Gold Pigment Gel pen. And I've also got something which is called a Slicky, which is this one, I really like this one. This is Pentel, and it's a tiny little pen. It's very delicate and nice to hold because it's so small. So if you prefer a smaller pen, this is the one to go for, whereas this one is much chunkier and more kind of masculine. But it's, what comes out the end is just the same, really. And then I did some more circles, and I turned them into little birds just by using one of these black pens. We gave them some features, and lo and behold, they become birds. And then on the next page, I did some more birds here. And I know a lot of you have enjoyed my blobby birds over the years. We did Paint a Bird a Day, and we did Build a Bird. And a lot of people have enjoyed that very much. I really like this one, the last one that I did. I think she's rather cute. She's got all these fluffy feathers and curly hair and everything. So you can have a lot of fun with this kind of thing. Going on, then I went to using one neutral colour. This is Payne's Grey, which is this one here. This is Old Holland, but every manufacturer makes Payne's Grey, which is a mixture of black and blue, but it's a convenience colour, and you can just squeeze out that nice soft grey colour there. And I was practicing some other shapes and impressions and things. Some of the ideas I've got here I kind of picked up from that book by, what's her name? Kate Leach. She introduced this idea to me, and as well as Laura Horn as well, another one, and Creation CC. She really doesn't do much anymore, but she's another one that's big on doodles. And so some of these ideas came from there, but they are different. I've done them differently from Kate. This one here, what I did was I used my masking writer. This is a Zig masking writer. Now I'm going to defend this because some people have said they don't like masking pens, and that's because they're using a different type. These ones are really, really good, the Zigs. They're really, really good. They really work. And what you do with this is you literally, this is a 2mm nib. It comes in 1, 2, and 3. You buy them as a set. And you can literally draw your outline and then do the painting and then erase those lines, and they come off really well. It works really well. And you cannot do that with a brush and a jar of masking fluid. You can't. So for making lines, or if you want to do calligraphy, so if you want to paint over this, you can actually get a relief, not relief, what do you call it? Well, it'll stand out as white on, let's say, black if you paint it over the top of it. So that's really good. So we went from there, where I've put all sorts of different shapes and things in these squares. I just used green because I thought that would be harmonious, but you could do it all multicolour if you wanted to. And I think just a little while ago, I did one that was multicolour that came out quite well, which is a video that we've got somewhere a couple of weeks ago, I think. And then I went on to this, which is the development. This is development of this, right? And this is a development, obviously, of this, where I've made the shapes more random, sort of like pebbles or stones or something like that. And I've stuck to 2 colours. This was, this was gold, quinacridine gold, memory going, definitely going, I don't know. Quinacridone gold, and this colour behind here was Naples yellow, and then I had some blue. I'm pretty sure this was ultramarine blue mixed with Payne's Grey to give me a more bluish kind of grey. And then once that was dry, I just did lots of doodles over the top, and I was quite pleased with that. And then we're getting more and more complicated as we go forward, you see. And in the next page, we've got a page of leaves, and I've masked this out. I actually put some lovely, shiny, tinsely silver masking tape. This is washi tape, and you can hear that, can't you? It's actually covered with glitter, it seems. Anyway, I put that on there, and then I painted lots and lots of leaves overlapping. The light green was put on after the darker ones, so they overlap, and it gives a very coherent shape. Don't be afraid of making your leaves overlap. And then when that was dry, I just embellished it with some white lines. This one was the same. Again, I used the mask, and you can see what a nice clean edge it makes around the outside edges here, where I painted over the masking tape. Not that you can really see it, because I've reused the same tape here. That's this third incarnation here. So I just painted circles, And then when that was dry, I painted another and another, and then I embellished over top of that. So this spread has actually become quite coherent. I'm very pleased with that. That is, so far, you can see I've gone through a whole process, and you can do the same thing too. The reason why this looks as good as a spread is because I've stuck with green as my basis and just used the opposite colour, orange, the opposite on the colour wheel to give a real sense of impact, let's say. So now we have an empty page, and I'm going to have to think of something to do on here. Now, I'm going to stop right now, I think, and I'm going to show you how to make one of these little booklets. And the great thing about this is it's a very small little booklet, and you can literally fill a whole one of these. You could fill one in a day if you painted all day with breaks for bathroom and food. You could definitely, because I did all of this yesterday and I've got as far as this. And remember that that's not the only thing I did. So I've only got 3 more sides to do. And I could have actually, if I'd have gone on last night a bit longer, I could have probably finished this in one day. And therefore, you can then write at the beginning, you can say, sketchbook, doodles, first doodling book, done on the 17th of August 2025. And there you've got it forever. Something small that you can refer to for future doodles, and something that you can actually show to people if you want to show them some of your work, if anyone is interested. Or you can just sit down and look at it and feel pleased with yourself, because there is no way that anybody can fail to complete a little book like this. So I really want to encourage you. And on Saturday, I've got a video coming up where I'm going to be talking about the story of how I came to be doing YouTube videos and how we came to be where we are now. And I hope you're going to be interested in that, because that's going to be quite a nice video that I hope is going to be done by Saturday. I haven't even told Tamsin she's making it yet. So yeah, I'll have to have a word with her soon. So now let's do this. We'll go over and have a look at the desk while I'm making the little sketchbook here, and then I'll come back and I'll do this with you now. Okay, so here we are on my workbench, and I'm going to show you how to make a little sketchbook. I've got some pre-cut sheets of paper here. This is a lightly textured, creamy coloured, basically a kind of sketch paper, but it is actually perfectly good enough for watercolour. In fact, it's really good for watercolour. And my sheets of paper are 12 by 8.5. And I've also got, well, I've got 4 of those, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4 of those. And I've also got one piece of lightweight card. It's just thin card. It's the sort that you find in packaging all the time. So you could use a piece from, like, you know, if you buy a new shirt, sometimes it's got a piece of card holding it in shape. That's something, probably a bit of a rave from the grave, that, I suppose. But anyway, that's exactly the same size as the paper. So then what we're going to do, I've got all my tools here. I've got a hammer and an awl, a brad awl, which I'm going to use for one very quick thing. I've got a nice utility knife, and I've got several different kinds of string, which we can pick and choose between. But for something as small as this and delicate, I'll probably use this one, which is a kind of waxed upholstery thread. It's a linen thread, which is nice, and that'll definitely not break. But you could use any kind of string, whatever you happen to have handy, because it's not going to, you know, you're not selling this, and it's not going to be a disaster if by any remote chance it did break, you could repair it. And then I've got a very large, not this one, a large fat, this is a wool needle. It's for sewing up jumpers and things, very old, a bit rusty, but it does the trick. So that's also a useful thing to have. So those are all the things I have here. And so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this 4 sheets of paper, and we're going to basically fold it in half like this and just press it down. You can use a bone-handled knife or a bone folder to just press it down, saves running too much grease from your hands onto it. And then what we're going to do next is do the same thing exactly with the card. If you use card that's thicker than this, you might not be able to fold it quite so easily, so it's best to stick with something relatively thin. And again, it's not going to be something that you are putting a lot of hard wear into, although a little bit stiffer than you could do it without a cover, actually. You could, but it's probably best if you do it with a cover because it protects it a little bit. And this is nice and smooth, so you can decorate it. So I'm going to fold it in the other direction because you get a neater outside edge that way. Then I'm going to put my inside pages inside. Make that all nice and square. Okay, and then this is the one thing that is mildly, vaguely difficult. It's not really difficult, but it is slightly tricky. So one of the tricks I found online is to use one of these, we used to call them bulldog clips because they used to be, I suppose, made by a company called Bulldog. Just use, I think somebody called them file clips. I don't know if that's what you call them in America, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Use that to hold the paper in place. Press it down again, and then get your bradawl and a hammer. I find this works best for me because I can't push hard enough. I'm protecting my table with a very thick self-healing mat here, and I'm going to roughly eyeball the center. And what you want to do is make sure it's on the crease. So here, like that. That's about the only thing you have to be vaguely precise about. Doesn't even have to be exactly in the center. And then I'm going to make a big noise, which hopefully will be edited out so you won't hear it. And I'm going to tap 15 to 20 times on my particular table with my particular bradawl, which isn't very sharp, in order to get through to the other side of my collection of paper and card. So there we are. That will have gone all the way through, as you can see. And then we're going to do, you could do 5 holes on this one, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do 3. So do this again. I know that will have gone through, and then we'll do it again here. Doesn't have to be precise. And there we are. Now I can take my needle and just make sure that I've got a hole all the way through by pushing that through. That goes through, that goes through, and that goes through. Right, so that's okay. We have our nice holes. Then we'll get a piece of string or thread, whatever you want to call it, about double the length of the 8.5 inches there. So I suppose about 17 inches. Thread it onto this needle, lovely big eye on this needle. Don't need a knot. And then we're going to go through here. Press it down on the mat if you want. Pull it through to leave 2 inches or so of tail and come through from the other side here. I always use the bench to help me push because I'm not as strong as I used to be on that. Then through here again. So you've gone from the top one to the bottom one, skipping over the middle one. And then we're going to come back through the middle one again to the starting point. And then you're basically finished because you've got your, just pull it tight like that. Take off your needle, then do a double knot with one piece of the thread on this side and the other piece on that side, so that you're enclosing the one that goes from here to here. And you don't need to worry about this too much, just snip it off like that and take off your paper clips, whatever they're called, fold it shut. And there you are, one little sketchbook full of paper, ready to go. And each page is nicely stitched in position. And that probably took, well, that took 7 minutes. And that's with me talking it through. 7 minutes to do that from beginning to end. I had already cut the paper, but that's a moment's work as well. Probably the longest job when making your own sketchbooks is buying the paper that you're going to use. And as I said, you don't want anything too thick, and this is about £90, and that's about right, but it does want to be good quality. So because you're going to use watercolor paint, and you're going to use water. So let's get on with the next step. We're going to paint a picture. So here we are, and I've got my Art Nouveau set here. Always looks a bit of a mess because I use it such a lot. And I've got this nice Meeden palette in the middle of my tray here, so I can mix up any colours that I want to alter. And I'm going to be using, of course, my Meeden brush. I'm using the size 4, which I like for this kind of size, this scale. You could use one of the smaller ones as well if you wanted to, and indeed I might. This one hasn't even been broken into yet. It's a number 3. It's quite a big difference between the 4 and the 3, as you can see. And we've also got this one here, which is a 1. And the number 2, hang on. Not sure where number 2 has gone. It's another white pen. Let me see. Anyway, you'll be able to imagine it sits between those two. And these are great. We've had some very good feedback from people about these brushes. People are very pleased with them, and I'm not surprised because I am. I was just saying to Tamsin yesterday, I really like these brushes. They are much better than the Isabey ones that I had from years ago. I should do a demonstration of that at some point. Now, I'm going to use this painting as an inspiration for the little one I'm going to do now. This is a video from a while back, not from long ago, but a little while back. So I'm just going to use this as a starting point because everybody needs a starting point. And I do think it's a good idea to use one of your own paintings if you possibly can manage it. To start you off. But of course, if you're just still beginning, you're lucky because you can start with a clean sheet, so to speak. So I haven't wetted these paints at all yet. So I'm going to turn that around because I might start with one of these colours like this. I haven't wetted them, so I hope they're going to give up their colour reasonably easily. I'm sorry they look so scrappy. My new set is in Egypt. I really ought to buy another set, but somehow I hate to stop using them until they're completely exhausted. A bit like me, I will go on. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 strokes, just like that, as easy as that, and then I'm going to pick up some orange, and we're going to just drop it in to the base there. And that's all we're going to do. Bring it down to the bottom, and then perhaps just come down like that with a stem, and we'll put the leaves in later. And we're going to do more than one of this colour. So we'll do 1, 2, try and make that a little bit more pointed. It's a little bit different, a little bit darker because I've got more paint in my brush. And we'll bring that stem down here. I'm by no means copying this painting, not copying it at all. Now, if you don't want to constantly wash your brush out and lose all the pigment that's on your brush, you can just touch it into the water and then go into your palette and kind of smush some of that paint off. So you're saving it then, okay? You're saving that paint, and then you can go in and wash your brush and it doesn't all go to waste. So that's something to remember. You can do that. So I just add a little bit more to that, and then we'll put another one down here. I didn't need to do that because I'm carrying on, but I just thought I'd show you. And then some orange at the bottom here. This is kind of some sort of burnt sienna sort of colour there. And we'll come down for the stem. Okay, and we'll do the same there. We'll just touch the clean water. It has to be clean. You need 2 jars, one clean and one not so clean. And then you can touch into the clean one if you're going to use this little trick here. Now I'm going to go to pink, which is down here. Yeah, you still can see me on the video. There we are. So I'm going to mix that with that. So this is just a slightly pinker colour of the same. And we're going to do a few that are a bit smaller. That one can go this way. Maybe do one here going that way. And we'll pick up a bit of darker pink. Okay, now if I'm following my original, what I did next was I think I put in some, actually I did put in some darker pink ones. So let's see if I can fit some of those in. And put one here. Maybe one down here. Yeah, I think that's probably enough. I just wash off my brush and rinse it. And now we want some greens, so we'll turn around thingy whatnot, and let's go for a few greenish leaves, and they don't want to be too green. We're looking for a bluish green like this one here. And I don't want it to be too strongly green. So what I do is I'm going to tone it down a bit by using a bit of pink, I think. So I just put a bit of pink in there. Yeah. Use all of that, what we had in our thing there. That's better. So then we'll point down and lift. And another green mixed into that. And maybe I'll make that a bit darker. And at this point, all I'm doing is just building up leaves. And I'm going to start now going over the edge. It's not a good idea to go over the edge really, but sorry, that was meant to be a joke. Don't go over the edge, guys. You never know what's on the other side. I'm going to put a little bit of dark green in there. I think this is a dark green. So we'll just make this a lot darker. You see how this brush, although it's quite big, you can get a really fine point. And you can stroke out fine lines very easily. I do like the way that you can go over the masking tape so it looks as if it's part of a bigger painting. Okie doke. So now I just clean the brush again. And I'm going to pick up, I think this is probably dry, very nearly. I'm going to pick up some rusty orange, and we will try not to get paint all over my arm. I'm going to give our flowers some more character by putting some lines on them. And if you want very fine lines, you can have them. And this one's still a little bit wet, so it's going to go a bit it's going to run a bit, but that doesn't matter. So just whatever you fancy. Like that. And then we will use that same colour to put some circles in. And you'll find that this brush is actually quite good at painting circles. It's very keen on circles as a brush, much more so than the round brush. I'm very enthusiastic about this brush. I think Meeden have done a very good job. I don't know quite how they've managed it, because like I say, I've used other quill brushes like this, and I've never found one that was quite so obedient as this. So totally recommend this one. So we'll just do that, and we're going to have to bring in some more pungent colours. You see how this one has got some really good darks in there? So we will need to do that. So I'll wash off my brush again, and I'm going to go for this green, which is pretty dark without being ugly dark. Just try it out on a piece of paper. Yeah, that's fine. That will do nicely. Make sure I've got plenty of that. And let's put some of these darks in places. I'm going to have to allow them to overlap on things because there's probably not enough space. Someone seems to be eating their lunch over there. I expect, oh, that's Frankie. And putting in a dark colour like this definitely lifts the whole thing. Even the little ones that you put around the edges, overlapping, are really important. Okay, maybe one here. And perhaps one here. And then I will next put some, you've got a couple of choices here. There's a few more embellishments that I want to put on these flowers. I'm just wondering whether to do it with ink or to go for paint. And I think I'm going to do, first of all, some with paint. So I'm not changing any more colours, not adding any more colours. This is just the same colour. So we just put some little orange circles on these ones. And then we want some pink ones on these ones, smaller. And here perhaps too. Okay, and then I might put some very small pink circles here and there. So the idea of this was that it looks like, you know, a garden gone to seed, gone a bit wild. Now this original one that I'm working from didn't have any line work on it at all, except on the leaves, but because these leaves are that much smaller, I'm going to use a pen to do that. So we'll go for our, I think I'll go for white. Let's see whether this white pen actually works. Test it. Now, that's another thing I wanted to say actually about this little sketchbook that I've made. I used some paper for this, which is perfect actually for watercolor, but especially perfect for pen, because one of the problems with something like cold press watercolor paper, 140-pound weight, is that it is very irregular when it comes to the pen. The pen doesn't like it, and you can end up damaging the tip of your pen and making it go to sleep, and it'll never wake up, you know. So that's why I've chosen some paper here which is relatively smooth from my stash. So we'll try that. We'll try this now to put some veins in these leaves, hoping it's dry enough. Haven't had to use the, I'm going to be careful about this because I know there's some wet ones there, so I'll just turn that round so I can do this one without touching my hand on it too much. I always do. There we are, and then there's this one here. And then if these are dry, I can put some spirals on these. Also, you'll find if you use this kind of paper, which I will try and find a source and put it in the description below, it's a 90-pound paper, not 140 pounds, so it's much thinner and much better for making your own sketchbook because it's much easier to handle. And then I'm going to put some little dots on some of these leaves too. So we're getting towards the end now. I think that'll probably do. And I will take off the tape. I shall stick that to my desk because it's still going to have another life yet. Well, actually, I could put it straight onto the paper here, but I won't do that for the minute. I love the way you get this nice clean edge around the outside of the painting, which makes it look so much better when you peel that off. It's like magic. So there we are, that's today's effort, and I hope you enjoyed that. And we've got our new one ready to finish the cover of. Here it is. So for the cover, I've obviously got a nice clean card there, and it's all stitched neatly in the middle as we saw earlier. So very easy, only takes 5 minutes to make one of those. Once you've done one, the next one comes on, comes out really quickly. So there we are. I will let you go now and hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again soon. I will do another one on here soon, so I'll have a nice spread similar to that. Wonder what I'll do. I don't know. Right then, so I'll let you go. Maybe something like this. Something like that, but not quite so powerful. Something a little bit more subtle, I think. I shall see you on Thursday. I'll say bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.